question is about the gun of Werner Herzog threatening Klaus Kinski with a gun during the shooting.
When you got the 35th distortion of the story, number one, shooting conditions were not atrocious, they were normal. In fact, we lived on the rafts and slept on the rafts and had huts, well-built huts there, and we had cooking. However, I ran out of money a couple of times and I had to sell off my wristwatch and at the end my boots to just get breakfast for everyone. So, but it was not atrocious. It was very, very regular work and very, very serene work. However, Kinski had an attitude of freaking out and throwing tantrums sometimes 3-4 times a day, and sometimes I had to discipline him and bring him down to be productive for the screen by provoking him. And for 2.5 hours he would yell and scream until he had froth in his mouth. And then I did the scene where he declares he's the wrath of God, and if I want the birds to drop dead from the trees, the birds will drop dead from the trees. And he speaks it in a completely reduced way. So there was an enormous amount of intelligence and force and understanding him to make him productive for the screen, because I knew that he had broken at least 30-40 contracts, walked off other movies, left theater productions behind where he never learned any text, and he played Hamlet, I think, in Vienna at the Burgtheater, the biggest theater in Austria, and after 5-6 minutes he didn't remember his text, and he starts to insult the audience and throws a burning candelabra into the audience, then rolls himself into a carpet and doesn't emerge anymore. Like 30-40 minutes later the curtain goes down. So, and he, at a point, and it was not that the situation of shooting was unbearable. He yelled at me for about 2 hours because, and I found out why did he yell, because the assistant sound man smiled at him when he was performing, and he demanded from me ultimately that I had to dismiss the man. And I said, no, I'm not going to do this because you're not right. That's number one. And number two, even if I dismissed him, the entire crew would walk off in solidarity. So that would be the end of the film. And I said to him, you know, I have thought about the unthinkable months before, and now this is one of the moments of the unthinkable. And I do not have to contemplate long what I'm going to do. And I said to him, you will not reach the next bend of the river because you will be shot dead. And I was unarmed, no rifle in my hand. However, I had confiscated his rifle. He had, even in the contract, he had the right to bring along a Winchester because he was frightened that there were jaguars that would attack him and savage Indians that would shrink his skull and all sorts of things. But in an incident, for example, when he was shooting wild around at night, some of the extras were playing cards and they drank some aguardiente, which is sugarcane brandy, and they laughed. And his hut was about 50 yards away. And these huts that we built actually next to the rapids where we shot for about 6, 7, 8 days were built of very thin walls made of bamboo sticks and thatched roofs. And he fired 3 shots through the hut. And there were 40 extras in there. And he shot the finger, the big finger, half the finger away from one of the extras. And I confiscated his rifle afterwards, so I still have the rifle. And being unarmed didn't mean that there was not a rifle at disposal somewhere. And he realized, because I was so quiet, so calmed down, he realized that this was not a joke. and he screamed for police, for protection against the madman, meaning me, which was kind of odd. And he stepped back in line, and we continued shooting the last 10 days of shooting, and he was docile, and he was okay. So, but there are at least 30, 40 different versions of this incident. It was very quiet, almost unobtrusive. Some of the people who were filming with me didn't even notice.